Have you ever felt like you're at the edge of something big, but you don't know if you should take the leap or stay where you are? Whether it's leaving a job or ending a relationship or just stepping into something bold and new, the hardest part isn't actually the leap, it's knowing when it's time. That's what today's episode is all about, so stick around, we're going to get into it. We often wait for certainty before we want to make a move. We want that, guarantee that this is going to work out. This is going to be the right move, the perfect decision. However, we don't get that, right? The only way that we can, get that clarity and certainty is connecting the dots, looking backwards. So we don't always know how this dot is going to lead to something else in our life, how this decision is going to make a difference or change things in our life. Call it whatever you want, but I know when I graduated college and I was looking for, jobs, I was a little all over the place. I didn't know where I was going to end up. I didn't know where I wanted to be. I had some places in mind and I applied for jobs. One was, in the big city of Charlotte, where I had always thought I would want to live one day. And I got a call and they invited me, I got hired for a job. And I had that gut feeling like, this isn't it. This is not for you. This is not the right job. This is not the right move. Whatever it was, I had this sense of knowing that it just wasn't right for me. And so I turned it down, thinking this was it. There were going to be no more opportunities just because of the timing and everything else had already kind of, anyway. However, another month later, I got a call from the workplace and I ended up moving to Beaufort, North Carolina because of that offer, which I wouldn't have been able to take if I had taken that first one, right? And, there was no way for me to know that. In the moment, I had to follow my instincts. I had to follow that gut feeling, and I did. And looking back, right, connecting the dots in retrospect, if I hadn't moved here, I would have never met my husband and, had this life that we lived together. And there's no way to know that. And on the flip side, it could have been a flop, right? It could have not gone well. It could have been the worst job ever. It could have, I could have still not met my husband, right? Things could have just not worked out. And I still would have been okay, right? I still could have made a different decision, done something different. And I think that's part of what we have to learn, and we have to get comfortable with that discomfort. Our nervous system, anxiety, all of those things want you to stay the same. They want you to not change things because change is uncomfortable. If you can get comfortable with that discomfort, if you can get okay with it in a sense, then you can make that decision because you've listened to that gut feeling, that inner knowing, and you've made, not an irrational, decision that didn't require some thought and intention and preparation, but that inner knowing that comes from knowing your values, knowing what's important to you, knowing what your ultimate goals are in life. Is this moving you in that direction? When you have that clarity of your direction, those yeses and those leaps get easier and easier, even within the discomfort. The other thing that we have to remember is that clarity comes from action. There are a lot of things that I thought sounded like a lot of fun, sounded like a great idea, like getting rollerblades for my 40th birthday. And then, in practice, when I put them on, I really wasn't that good at it. And it wasn't enough fun for me to want to get good at it. I didn't have a great space for it. There wasn't, a nice part to skate with. So it actually wasn't a great idea, but it wasn't such a huge one, right? It was such a low stakes kind of decision. When we want to make those high stakes decisions, we want that certainty, right? We feel like we need certainty that this is the right direction. However, we can't get that until we get into it. And so what we want to do is bridge our way there. So let's say, you are working a 9 to 5, you want to start your own business. Maybe you're not ready to quit that because you need that stability. There's nothing wrong with that. But can you take action towards that business? Can you take action towards your dreams that's going to get you closer to it so you can quit your 9 to 5? Can you, host an event, or call a couple of people that you know and say, hey, I'm really good at designing web pages. Can I do one for you and charge you something and get a referral, get a review? There are little ways that we can take action towards our dreams, and that's going to build that confidence and that momentum to get you more in that direction. But knowing when is really about being able to slow down your nervous system, settle it down, so that you can hear that inner voice, so you can connect with your values, your goals, what's important to you right now, what do you need, and start to take those little actions. Action is going to give you confidence more than thought ever can or ever will. Okay, now it's your turn. I want you to tell me, what is one area of your life where you feel that pull to take a leap? You want to take action towards a big dream or a change or a shift, and you've been maybe putting it off. Where's that one way that you can take action? I want you to give me one idea, one thing that you are committing to doing so that you can start to take action towards your dreams. And if you ever want to talk about it, set up a consultation with me. I'd be glad to talk you through it. I get really excited about this and have so much fun cheering you on and encouraging you. So let's talk about it. So here's the truth. We don't always get a flashing neon light that tells us, go, it's time to take that leap. But there are always signs. And if you know what to look for, if you know how to listen and notice those signs, then you'll have the roadmap, you'll have the guidance that you need. So here are 3 of the big ones. Number 1 is persistent dissatisfaction. That nagging feeling that you're meant for more, that, trying to ignore it, it just won't go away, continues to come back, and you're maybe thinking about it all the time, maybe more often than you'd even like to admit. So that persistent dissatisfaction, that persistent feeling of, this just isn't what I want anymore, this isn't working. Emotional exhaustion is the second one. So when we are in alignment, when we're doing, what we're meant to do, what we're called to do, we feel lit up from within. We feel energized. We feel motivated. We feel excited about the day. When we're out of that alignment, we instead will feel drained. We will feel that emotional exhaustion that is just relentless. And I don't mean like tired. If I have something that I'm really passionate about, I can work really hard on it for, I can spend my whole weekend working on it and just be exhausted by the end of the weekend, but in that good way, right? That I'm going to sleep great tonight and wake up excited and fresh again tomorrow. That's different than that emotional exhaustion where you wake up already tired and defeated feeling for the day. You're waking up, not with energy, not excited, not looking forward to the day, but dreading it, emotionally drained. That thing that you're clinging to is draining more energy than it's giving. which may be part of what makes it so hard to take that leap. The final thing is just that inner knowing, that quiet voice that is just telling you this isn't it anymore. Doesn't mean it never was a good decision. I've made career moves, and the one, that I made at this time was exactly what I needed in that moment. And then when I shifted, it was because my life shifted, because I changed, because my family changed, my circumstances changed. So we're not always going to stay exactly the same. We shouldn't. We should be growing and evolving. And sometimes that means that we'll need to let go of something that used to be the right fit, that used to be important to us, that used to light us up and energize us. And so having that inner knowing and being able to recognize that voice inside of you, which is your intuition, it's guiding you in exactly what you need. You deserve joy, and you deserve peace, and you deserve to stop second guessing that.